Okay, kids, it's time to learn your aviation ABCs. Airbus, Boeing, Comac? European Airbus and American Boeing have been battling it out for ages in the world's most infamous duopoly. Now, China wants a real piece of that cake. Today, I'm finally flying on the first ever Chinese-made commercial passenger jet, the Comac C919. What is it actually like to be a passenger on a Chinese airplane, and why are we unlikely to see this plane outside of Asia anytime soon? Today we're getting into all that as we fly this bird from Guangzhou to Wuhan. Come along! Good afternoon from gorgeous Guangzhou Airport, one of the only airports in the world to have a fleet of Comac 919s based in this city. We have 8 China Southern C919s based here, and I'm about to hop on board one of them for a 1.5-hour flight up to Wuhan and share all my thoughts about this aircraft, as well as why this aircraft is so groundbreaking, so interesting, and hopefully so nice. There it is! This whole trip is worth it just to finally get to fly the C919. This aircraft is one of the most exciting, groundbreaking aircraft to be introduced in our lifetimes, at least in the past few decades, because it finally presents a chance to break the Airbus-Boeing duopoly. Comac announced the C919 program back in 2008. 9 years later, in 2017, this aircraft took its first flight, but it wasn't until 2023, 15 years after the program was announced, that it flew its first passengers for China Eastern. Now, China Southern has 8 of these bad boys, but still, at the end of 2025, there are only 32 flying. Comac, of course, wants to ramp up deliveries of these like crazy, but there are quite a few obstacles standing in the way of them doing that. Chinese airlines operate among the most A320 and 737 family aircraft in the world, and they do so reliably, which begs the question, what is the point of this A320 and 737 sized aircraft? Why does China even need its own version of that? Well, obviously, they don't want to have to rely on the West to have any usable aircraft. But is this actually an independent Chinese aircraft that does not rely on the West? You see, this is a Chinese plane, but it's also not a Chinese plane. Some estimates put the number of critical foreign parts in the C919 at around 90%. What we see, the exterior of the aircraft, also known as the fuselage, is Chinese, but key parts all over this bird rely on the US and Europe. Why is that an obstacle? Because imports and global trade are tied to politics, and right now China is in a pretty vulnerable position. For example, this aircraft is powered by the CFM LEAP-1C engine. Sound familiar? That's because the CFM LEAP-1A engine powers the A320neo. The CFM LEAP-B engine powers the 737 MAX. Very similar engine on all those aircraft, but very different manufacturers and countries. Inside the C919, it gets even more extreme. The flight controls, core avionics, cockpit display, brakes and wheels, APU, and more are all US made. This of course makes the Comac C919 vulnerable to trade wars, tariffs, and general global tension. If we are not in a period of global trade wars, tariffs, and tension right now, then I don't know when we have been. Because of this, Comac has had a constant on-again, off-again supply of its crucial components. In 2025, Comac had aimed to deliver 75 of these birds, but only ended up delivering 15. You might be saying, yeah, but I'm a passenger, I don't really care about this stuff. Obviously, the 2 things passengers are most interested in are the safety of the aircraft and the onboard comfort, which we will get to when we hop on board. At the moment, this aircraft is only certified to operate in China. They are waiting for EASA approval in Europe, but they've decided to entirely skip seeking FAA certification for this aircraft in the US. So you will never see it there. Why? Politics, baby. Yeah, if there are not even going to be Chinese-built electric cars in the US, I doubt we'll be seeing Chinese-built planes there anytime soon for similar reasons. So you might ask, what does that say about the safety of this aircraft? Is this Temu in the skies? The price is certainly not Temu. The approximate list price of an Airbus A320neo or a Boeing 737 MAX is around 111, 112 US dollars.
112 US dollars?
Million US dollars. Airlines get huge discounts on that, but how much is the C919? Well, the list price hovers around $99 million. So about 10 or 11 or 12 million dollars cheaper, but in the grand scheme of things, this is certainly not a cheap or discounted jet. One thing, those C919 winglets, kitten heels.
Michelle Visage would have something to say about that.
At least it's not bright green. Here we go. Just like Comac is hoping to provide some much needed competition for Boeing and Airbus, today's video sponsor Saily is providing some very much needed competition for our home phone carriers that are ripping us off on travel data. Wherever you go in the world, you can have connectivity these days, and it's easier and cheaper than you think. Saily offers data in almost every country and destination in the world, starting at just $4. And what makes it so amazing in China specifically is that it bypasses the Great Firewall, so you can access your regular sites, your email through Gmail, Google, YouTube, and many more. All you've got to do is install Saily on your phone, choose your destination or even a region, or why not get a global pass, select how much data you want, and then you install the eSIM once. That's it. You can keep topping it up or add new countries and destinations to the same one without having to install it again. Saily makes travel so much more seamless and quick because you can get connectivity wherever you are going in the snap of your fingers. So check out Saily today at the QR code right here or at the link in the description below and use code NonstopDan for 15% off your first eSIM. It is really not every day you get to fly not only an airplane type you haven't flown before, one to fly for a living, but also one from a manufacturer you've never flown before. Yeah. Hello. First time on the Comac. Very cool.
Thank you.
Wow. Overhead bins don't look too big. Yeah, they look very small, but the ceiling is very high. The highest, I think, I've ever experienced on an narrowbody. Look at this, the bag barely fits. Let's have a look around. Looking up. Oh, we can kind of see inside here. That's interesting. But look at these hybrid air vents and lights. Never seen that before, but otherwise looks pretty familiar. The seat is also completely different to what we are used to, which of course this seat could be on a different aircraft type as well. Then we've also got a little extra pocket down here, but I gotta say the leg room for me at 6'2", 187 centimeters is not great. I see some USB-A charging here, but no power ports or USB-C, which I feel like there could be USB-C, right? But I want to ask Oscar something. So Oscar, do you feel any difference in this middle seat compared to a regular middle seat?
I guess now that you ask, it does feel slightly wider, maybe? Is that what it's supposed to be? Yeah, it's really giving space. And by the way, of course, he's asking me that question because he wouldn't even know what it's like in the middle seat. I'm joking, guys.
But you're also not. Oscar's elbows even fit inside the armrests.
Normally, this would never happen.
You want to guess how wide the fuselage is? 3 meters and 96 centimeters. How does that compare to the A320 and 737? The A320neo, I have to read this. I don't just know this stuff. The A320neo is 370 compared to 396. The 737, 354. So this is more than 40 centimeters wider than the 737 fuselage. And what does that mean? They have opted to make the center seats wider than the other seats to offer additional comfort to the people sitting in the middle. The crazy thing to me is that these overhead bins are tiny. Ideally, these overhead bins would allow you to put the bags the other way, flipped, like you can on the A320neo and 737. If I could guess why that wasn't prioritized and why they didn't do that, I think the explanation might be cultural. We are not in the US where everyone brings all their luggage in their carry-ons. We're in China where almost every ticket includes a free checked bag, meaning the carry-on luggage is not as important. Now for the most exciting part for all the av geeks, the wing view. Oh my goodness, the kitten heels have arrived. Another thing I'm always interested to see is the window shades. Does this revolutionize anything, or, oh, it's quite resistant. It really doesn't, either it's very premium and heavy, or it just needs a bit of, I don't know, oil. Now, what about the window size? How big is this? Well, funnily enough, it's almost like an A380 in that there's a lot of padding between the internal window and the exterior. So I'd say the hole in the fuselage is about the size of the A320, so definitely smaller than a 737. But one of the reasons Airbus did this sort of thing on the A380, which I imagine is why Comac did it as well, is to get the light to disperse more and to still make the cabin feel brighter. I feel so bad for everyone else on this flight because this is like the most normal, boring flight to them probably, Guangzhou to Wuhan, but to us, everything we see, we're like, wow! I just really have to emphasize how mind-blowingly high the ceiling is in here. It feels like we're on a wide body, genuinely. Oof, this is so cool. I won't take it, but I'm tempted. With that, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy our first ever takeoff on a Chinese-made airplane. We just took off. That was so cool. We blasted off like a rocket. Our takeoff roll was so short. There were some unfamiliar sounds, which for a second you're like, then I realized it was the wind passing above the flaps below the wing that was making like a almost whistling sound.
This is my very uneducated observation. I felt like the lift-off effect was so strong. Like, I really felt the G-force heavily. I was like,
Might just be because we had a very steep climb because of Guangzhou or something else. Now space seems to be a bit of a problem, at least for me. It's the person in front of you reclines. You're not going to open a laptop here, but I think you need it. I know in China they ask people to raise their seats during the meal, which I think is great, but it's lucky it's only an hour and a half flight right now. Our specific aircraft today took its first flight in November 2025. It has serial number 30, meaning it's the 30th C919 ever made. Who knows how many more there will eventually be. In total, this aircraft sort of has around 1,000 commitments. Not confirmed orders though, so we're definitely not talking the numbers of the 737 or A320 quite yet. Look, there are more variants of this aircraft in the works.
please don't say variants on the way to Wuhan. Please?
What are those variants? First, we've got the C919-600, basically designed to compete with the A319neo. That aircraft is not doing too well, but it serves a very specific purpose, mainly to operate in high-altitude airports. One of the main regions here, Tibet. Then we have the C919-800, which in my opinion is even more interesting. Why? Because it's meant to compete with the A321neo. Why would you want to compete with that? Well, it's only the most popular popular aircraft in the A320 family these days. Finally, we've got a different aircraft type altogether, the C929. This may be coming relatively soon, and it will be the first wide-body aircraft from Comac. That is exciting stuff. Guys, seriously, this ceiling height is crazy. Look at all this headspace. Honestly, the seat is quite cramped, so just standing back here, you feel like you have a lot of room. You're obviously not supposed to stand back here, but I'm like, can we just do that? Because there's so much headspace. Although it is quite loud back here, it's quieter at the seats. We shouldn't really record the galley, but this is what it looks like. Cool. Okay, lavatory check. Wow, massive door. Ooh. Whoa. Airbus and Boeing, go home and cry because you have been so outdone by this. This is like the nicest narrow-body lavatory I've ever seen. A reasonably sized sink. It is so spacious. It's so bright. What have we got here? Ooh, flying breeze hand wash. This is actually so good. And by the way, I can stand upright, which also is not a very common occurrence. So it is obviously really impressive to get any meal on a 1.5 hour flight, but this sandwich looks like it's been laying around a little bit. Got a banana, can eat that. And then some water, as well as some peanuts. Cool. 1 point Bangkok catering, 0 points Guangzhou catering. This flight is so short, I'm sad it's over, even though it hasn't been the most comfortable. It has been and definitely will be the most special flight of this trip. Just getting to try a brand new aircraft type, see how everything works. It is so entertaining, and I just wish we had aisle seats so we could get up and walk around all the time, which would also be easier on a slightly longer flight when the whole flight is occupied by crew doing service, which is pretty impressive that they do on such a short flight. And now, time for our first ever landing on the C919 and first ever time landing in Wuhan. We made a video here from our experience on our other channel, Oscar and Dan, which I encourage you to check out if you want to know what it's like to visit this very famous place. And just like that, it's over, and flight number 2 is over. Bye bye, 谢谢. So, this aircraft, what do we think? The bathrooms blew me away. The ceiling height blew me away. But wait a minute. Whoa, look at this. Okay, I have to say, I'm surprised by what we just experienced. Not because it was better or worse necessarily, but just how similar it is to the A320 and 737. I was hoping for something exciting, something different. But in fact, I feel like the A220 is more different and more unique from a traditional passenger aircraft than this aircraft was, at least from a passenger experience. And I'm willing to bet that 99% of people outside China would board this aircraft and not even realize they were on a non-Airbus or Boeing plane. The one time Americans would notice is with those overhead bins, and I feel like having those smaller bins is what makes the ceiling so spacious and high, because the bins aren't encroaching on that headspace as much. It's going to be fascinating to follow Comac in the coming years to see where this aircraft goes and where their aircraft lineup goes, because clearly there's a lot of potential here and I'm so excited. On that note, hit subscribe if you haven't already. It takes 1 second and it's free. And until I see you in the next video, as always, fly safe.